I won't mess with my hair this time. It had gotten stuck up here. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jen.
I'm David.
Welcome back to the David Christopher's channel, where we try to bring you a new idea each and every week to inspire you, to create, to teach you some techniques. David's been doing this a long time, and so hopefully today you will walk away feeling like you have a few more tools in your tool belt on how to do your own floral pieces. So, but before we get into that, I have to add one little tidbit. We forgot to tell you all that a couple of weeks ago, I got to cash in my Christmas present, which was to drive a 2024 Ferrari at close to what David says was
140 miles per hour.
Around the Nashville Speedway track through the Extreme Experience. No, this is not a commercial or a sponsorship or anything like that, but I did have an amazing time, and we're going to slide some of that video in for you to see me making my moves around the racetrack because it was really fun. And I know some of you are just here for the florals, but some of you are here because you like to follow along with some of our crazy adventures and things that we do along the way that mixes in with our florals. So when you work hard, you have to play hard.
Right. And Jen always needed this experience because she has what we call here in the South the lead foot disease, which means she really likes the gas pedal. It's like all the way down. Why doesn't this go further?
Listen, I've gotten a lot better about that, especially after having children. You have to drive a little bit differently, and I don't take those kinds of chances anymore. But I mean, speaking of speeding, I do feel like you, sir, did a little drag racing back in the day.
I may have done that a little while.
And had some tickets.
I've had a few tickets in my life. Yeah.
So there's you a little interesting tidbit that you probably didn't know about David, is that he has a little bit of a record with that as well. So, but without further ado, we will go ahead and get started, and we hope you enjoy.
Okay, so we are going to be working with phalaenopsis orchids today, these things. And we want to make those look really natural as if they're growing. They work really well as potted real plants, but they don't always bloom. They're usually bloom and then sometimes they're dormant for quite a while, sometimes years before they bloom again. Depends on how good you are with your green thumb, I guess, and me not so much. That's why I work with artificial flowers. We're going to be using styrofoam, and we're going to make this, get some glue on this, and get that in our dough bowl because we want this to look very organic, very natural. And we're really going to press this down hard onto our dough bowl. And keep in mind that dough bowls, especially the ones that we sell, are all handmade. They're going to have different colors, different shapes. As you can see, this one almost looks like a peanut on one side because it kind of caves in a little bit right there. And that just helps them all to be unique. And we're not looking for extreme perfection with these. We're looking for a very organic style. And then we're going to mix some of our sheet moss with some Spanish moss. So we're going to mix this up and make this a little different because we're mixing a lot of different mosses together to make this work. Also helps with some of the realism of this, but these things are very timeless, very classic, that you can use a phalaenopsis arrangement in your house just about anywhere. Works well. Now we're going to be adding some Spanish moss in between our sheet moss, just to keep hiding that styrofoam, but using these two different styles of mosses really just keeps it feeling very organic, very natural. And just fill in any of those spaces where you feel like you can see any styrofoam. Get the sticks out of your Spanish moss. Okay, got a little little corner here where I can still see some. So I'll cover that up. And then we're ready to go. So really, we have two things here that we're going to be mostly using. Phalaenopsis stems, like this. And these are going to come, flat, like this. But these don't need to remain like this because that's not how Phalaenopsis grow. These really need to be bent so that, because that's how they grow. They'll grow out these stalks with the little buds, and as soon as those bloom, the heavier it gets, the more it starts to kind of lean over, and that's really what we're going to end up with, is something kind of like that. And then we have the other thing that we're going to be working with is this Phalaenopsis plant, the foliage itself. So this is what the foliage looks like, and we're going to put a couple of these in, and really easy. Those are very simple. You can take this plant and it's going to come flat like this, and we're just going to bend the leaves out, but we don't want to bend them completely on top of each other. We want to make them go a little bit side to side, not completely. Take just a little bit off of this one, and then we're going to give this one a little bit more height than the one right before it. They do have these brown kind of root tendril systems going on underneath the plant. Those are supposed to be there. You don't have to take those off. They don't always show, but if you kind of look under the plant a little bit, you can see that. So that helps with the realism as well. So don't worry about those. That's supposed to be there. And like I said, we're going to take our Phalaenopsis. I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to use my knife to just give it a little bit of a angle on the plastic. Not much, just a little bit of I cut half of the plastic off, and that really just helps it as I stick it in the styrofoam. It's going to help it keep from spinning back and forth. And what we want to do is go as close down beside this plant as we can. Make it look like it's growing out of that plant, because these really just grow together, and that's the goal that we want to achieve here, is make it look like it's growing all in one piece. So now we're going to use our other orchid, a little bit shorter than the first. Same thing with it. I'm just cutting a little bit of my plastic off just so that it doesn't spin very much. And we're going to bend this one the opposite direction. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this asparagus fern just to blend in some of the other foliages, the Phalaenopsis foliage and the moss. I'm just taking this apart. I'm going to add just a little bit of that to break up some of that dark green from the Phalaenopsis and make it look like we got a little bit more growing in here than just the Phalaenopsis plant. Let that come over the sides a little bit. We want to make sure we get some facing the front and the back. But these are great pieces for, like a buffet table, a foyer table, something along those lines. They work great for those places. And they're, like I said, they're very timeless. You'll see these kinds of things in lots of different magazines and interior design places that would be kind of showing you what to do. They're something that if you don't know what to do, they're a great go-to option. Because nobody's going to be like, oh, you should have done something different there. People will usually say, love the orchid arrangements. It's just a very easy thing to remedy a situation where you don't know what to place. And then we want to make sure that we've hidden all of our moss, all of the styrofoam with our moss, and all the other pieces so that you don't see any of that, because that's really the main giveaway once you've got something like this, that something is artificial, is that you can see the styrofoam, but we've got those different mosses. We're going to tilt this slightly toward you. So they're going to grow a little bit toward the sun. So we'll just imagine there's a wall behind us like there is. And they're going to be facing more toward the sun out there instead of facing more this way. So we've bent those over and given us a couple of different heights and faced them more toward you just to give them that more natural appeal. And it also helps focus the blooms more toward whoever's going to be looking at them as they walk in the room.
That seems easy enough. Basically, a wooden dough bowl, a spray bar, some moss, and 3 different pieces of floral. Your orchids, your phalaenopsis, and then
asparagus fern.
Asparagus fern. So we will put this together in a kit, so you can purchase the kit and make this yourself by following this tutorial. And then also, maybe you don't want to make this in particular, but you're just in love with one of these pieces and think it would work for your project. We will build a collection and have that link in the description so you can easily see what these items are, how much they cost. Make sure you check our website, shopdavidchristofers.com, for any retail promotions that we may have going on when you watch this video, because you just never know when you might watch it and what we might be doing. And we usually always get some type of question when you can actually see the glue. Here, this is an electric skillet with glue chips melted in that, because as many projects as we do, it doesn't make sense to use a glue gun, but that can work as well.
Yeah, if that's what you've got, especially for something like this, it's very few pieces that you have to attach. So glue gun's perfectly fine for that. When you get into, needing to cut a couple thousand stems a day, you might want to graduate to something a little bit beefier.
Something that will hold up a little bit more. How many of these glue pans do you go through in a typical year? Does one last you a whole year, typically?
It depends. Sometimes the heating elements burn out on them and we have to replace them, but sometimes you get a year or 2 out of them. Yeah,
and we also get the mini ones for our classes that we have. Check out our website for that. If you're local, we have a Maker of the Month class every month. Everything from floral arranging to cookie decorating to door hanger painting to, lots of things. We've got lots of things in the queue coming up. So make sure you like this video, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and we can't wait to see you next time. Bye!